Greetings, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're joining us from. Great that you could be with us today for another webinar. We're delighted today to cover off a special topic. Posts on Google is new, it's exciting, it offers real opportunity for destination marketing organizations. And today we're delighted to be joined by Aditya Mahesh, who's product manager at Google. And Aditya will be covering an introduction, overview, and some examples of posts on Google from around the world. Aditya, where are you joining us from today?
Hey, great to be here. I'm actually in San Francisco and super excited to be talking about posts.
Thanks a lot, and we'll pass it over shortly to Aditya to go through those examples from all over the planet and how destinations are using posts on Google. We've also got a guest presenter from our team. Patrick Rogers is one of our senior content leads, and he's been looking closely at posts on Google and has got tips and examples. Patrick, what are you going to be covering off today?
Yeah, Chris, well, we've spent the last 4 weeks sort of intensively experimenting with a couple of different things on posts and have some best practices and some other helpful sort of foundational information to get DMOs started on this exciting product.
Thanks a lot, and so we'll be hearing from Patrick just a little bit later. I want to give thanks and acknowledgement again to our partners at Destinations International, DMO West, and Southeast Tourism Society for helping highlight this educational webinar to their members. And in fact, there's upcoming events from all these organizations that we hope to see you at shortly. Also a call out to a conference that's coming up in just a couple of weeks, and this is on the subject of placemaking and the impact, influence and trends in that sort of confluence of tourism, economic development and making livable, vibrant communities. Yours truly is going to be running one of the panels there, and you can see there's a discount code if you want to take advantage of attendance in New York City there. Just some housekeeping issues. Please, you can toggle between the audio, both on your computer and phone, and send in those questions using the chat box, and we'll have time at the end to answer those questions. If you've got also comments, suggestions, or experiences you may have had with regards to using posts on Google, you can also obviously share those with you. So let's have a look at the agenda for today. So we'll be hearing from Aditya, who will provide an introduction overview of this new feature. Posts, of course, have been around for a year or 18 months, perhaps even longer, both in Google My Business and in other sectors, but it's new to the opportunity for destination marketing organizations. And then we'll pass it over to Patrick for his perspective, tips, and some of the suggestions from our use of posts on Google with a number of destinations. We've got some resources and additional takeaways at the end, and then we'll open up for questions. So without further ado, let's pass it over to Aditya Mahesh, and let's hear the overview and introduction to posts on Google.
Awesome, thank you. So there are many people who are searching for cities on Google, and posts on Google is a product that allows you to create content and then have that content appear when users search for your city. So any post that you make will appear in the knowledge panel, which is that informational box that you often see on the right-hand side of mobile search results and desktop search results. And there's lots of different types of posts that you can make. So all posts can have an image, some text, and a link. You can also post video posts, and posts can have up to 10 images and videos. And if you add multiple pieces of media to a post, it'll show in this gallery format that you see here. You can also create story posts that have up to 10 pages of text and images, as well as posts for events and polls. And to date, we have over 75 cities all over the world who are currently posting on Google. So New York City is one of those examples. They've made posts about where to get flu shots, Every Friday they make a video post on what's going on in the weekend, and they've made some posts about how to stay safe. So here's a post about snow safety. We also have Lafayette, Louisiana posting. They've made posts about local businesses, local events, and local sporting events as well. Charlotte, North Carolina has made posts on disaster preparedness, information about public transit, and then just general information about the city's economic growth. We have Austin, who has posted information about New Year celebrations, events that are happening in the city, like this Austin Shakespeare event, and then also a news video on YouTube of just what's going on in the city every week. We also have Cambridge, Massachusetts posting, and they've made posts about city services, delays in traffic when there are major events in the city, and then also information about civics and how to get involved and to vote on various things that are happening in the city as well. Santa Clara, California is posting, and they've made posts about both events, small and big. Here's one about local things that are happening in the city, and then another about a Jay-Z and Beyonce concert happening in Levi Stadium. And they've also posted videos that highlight some of the local businesses in the area. Oklahoma City has made posts about city council hearings, city services, and then an initiative to help name a new park that's being built there. Bermuda has posted about the World Rugby Classic, which is a major sporting event there. And they also made event posts for every individual match. So here's one for the finals. And then another event post about a food truck festival that was happening in November. And then Rio is one of our most prolific posters with over 3,000 posts to date. And they make posts about the weather, sporting events, and updates on traffic. And then lastly, we have the Gold Coast, who's posted event posts about a sand art festival, a surfing festival, and then also a really nice aerial video that kind of showed off the city. So posting is really quick and easy. Once you have access to the park, there's an authoring tool where you can go into and you can create posts right there. Any post that you make will immediately appear on search. And we provide metrics like the number of posts you've made and then also the number of views that each post has received. You get that at the per post level, and then also an aggregate number that tells you in total all of your posts have received X views all time. And so if you're interested in learning more information, you can visit post.google.com. And if you'd like to request an account and post on behalf of your city, you can simply go to this URL here, goo.gl/ATYU8I. Fill out the form, and then that'll come to our team, and we will get your account set up.
So, Aditya, just a couple of questions to clarify. So, this, in the first instance, is being offered to destination marketing organizations for cities, counties, and other destinations. Is that correct? Or and can you co-manage an account with other agencies?
Yes, every knowledge panel for every city will have one account. And so if there is not already an account posting, we do give it to the destination marketing organization. And if you would like other folks to also post on behalf of your city, within the authoring tool, there's the ability to add additional users. So you can add users from any other city department who you want to post on your account's behalf.
Very good. And what's the sort of timeline for reviewing the applications and getting back to destinations who fill in that form?
We'll try to get the accounts created within 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. So we've got some additional questions here. Let's come back to those at the end, perhaps. So let's pass over now to Patrick, and he can cover off the tips, insights, and practical suggestions from our use of posts on Google. Over to you, Patrick.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Chris. So over the last 4 or 5 weeks, we have been working with a handful of markets on some experiments of our own, and have some really sort of interesting findings from those that are really centered on sort of the DMO experience within the product. I think first and foremost, it is a really highly visible placement, and so it's a great opportunity to capture the attention of people who are searching for the destination. There's a lot of opportunity here for events and other great sort of inspiring content that will show up directly in your search results pages. What we have seen based on some preliminary experiments is that right now there are sort of the three broadest destination keywords that seem to be consistently delivering the posts in the knowledge panel, and that is sort of the destination name plus state, and then destination plus state abbreviation. And so those are really sort of great high volume keywords, and also a really sort of a keyword that a lot of searchers are going to be using while trying to explore the destination. So, but I think the other thing to keep in mind there that those are very sort of, because they are broad searches, you are finding a very wide audience that hasn't necessarily been filtered by interest type or by traveler type. So generally speaking, we found that we had a lot more success with sort of general interest content than we did with some of the more niche subject matter in some markets. But what that also means is that the visibility that you're able to achieve is directly related to the amount of search volume that your destination has. So in larger markets, you're going to find a pretty significant size audience right off the bat. In some smaller markets, you may not have quite as dramatic a reach, but certainly maximizing the value that the destination has based on its search demand is kind of the opportunity here. So certainly comparable to what you'll see kind of volume-wise based on the organic estimated search volume for your broad destination keywords. That will be a pretty good predictor of what your sort of impression opportunity is week to week. If you are sort of getting into the back end, there is a lot of really helpful sort of startup materials that are already present there in the Get Started tab. There are some assets there to help explain sort of some of the nuances of posting, and also some FAQs and other stuff. So if you're just getting started in the platform, that's a great place to start. And as Chris was mentioning earlier, there are some opportunities to manage users. So while you should get this to an official DMO account, there are opportunities to add an individual social media manager or another city office or other agencies who may also have an interest and or have content available that could be shared within that space. So just getting into a couple more sort of examples, what we really found was that mixing colorful photos with information about upcoming events and festivals, things that had appeal to both locals and visitors, tended to generate sort of the best engagement from a content vertical standpoint. So going back to the idea that you do have a fairly broad and generalized audience to this content, that content that has broad appeal is going to be a key success. And obviously, because you are in a sort of an environment like search engine results, there's a lot of sort of components of content going on in the knowledge panel and in top stories and in the organic listings and things to do. There's a lot of things sort of vying for a user's attention. So those bright, colorful photos, with good saturation and contrast, are going to help you sort of win the battle for a user's attention. Events were another one that had a really great engagement level overall. And again, if you're an organization that is promoting sort of strategic events or other types of activations within the community. The post is a great way to deliver thousands of additional eyeballs every week. Again, both visitors who are looking for destination information and locals alike. So definitely saw a lot of great engagement from events-related content. Polls, had some fun with those. A really sort of unique opportunity to start to gather user sentiment and get engagement on those. Some really some fun you can have with that, and sort of a unique way to start to get people involved, to share ideas, to gather feedback on ideas and that sort of thing in a pretty casual and easy to use interface. One of the other areas where we had a lot of success was promoting video. So you can very easily embed videos directly from your YouTube channel into a post, and then add some content. Within that content, you can add a link to a related landing page, and then what you have there is a really great way to showcase different types of content, different things about the destination that people might not know, less familiar ideas that you want to start to gain impressions for. Posts is a great way to start to get that content out there. And what surprised us too was the amount of post-click engagement that we were getting. Not necessarily sort of a huge driver of volume. Again, you're taking sort of an audience that has expressed destination interest, but hasn't necessarily expressed intent in specific kinds of content. So we didn't expect a huge outpouring of engagement. But what we found was that when we did connect content with people in those search results, we got tremendous post-click engagement on the website itself. So, this is definitely a way to start to drive people to owned content and to lead them into experiences that they want to learn more about. So we saw time on page over 6 minutes for the landing page that sort of explained more about street art in Richmond, and that was 50% above average for the content itself, and also a lower bounce rate than average as well, and a decent engagement rate. I mean, if you're going to compare that to a sort of a display ad or something like that, it's certainly in the ballpark with a banner. So the fact that it's free and delivering a pretty sizable audience is a great value as part of your overall mix for consumer engagement and content distribution. So just looking at sort of again diving a little deeper into the landing page performance after people click through on posts, certainly not the highest volume from a channel, but the one of the best time on page, and also one of the lowest bounce rates, even outperforming organic traffic, which is typically what we find to be one of the highest performers when it comes to user engagement. So really, probably that was one of the biggest surprises I think that we found over the course of our testing of the product. So another just sort of tip here is definitely keeping multiple posts live will generate the strongest number of views for your content. So keeping 2 posts live at a time is definitely optimal for view rates. Beyond that, you certainly can continue to post and users can scroll, but you are limiting the visibility of that older content. So we found that keeping a post live for 3 to 4 days before adding a new post was kind of the optimal performance standard. So just kind of rounding some of that stuff up, polls, events, GIFs, although we didn't have any examples, another area of really great opportunity, adding some motion into the search engine results. Keeping 2 posts live at a time will maximize your view rate. Engagement rates really varied a lot by both content and destination, we saw anything from 0.04 to 0.9, and we're benchmarking at about 0.1 as sort of an average starting point. So, feel free as you start to experiment, let us know what you found. Would love to hear more sort of practical experiences with that regard. And then, definitely use content that will grab people's attentions. And, you have an audience with destination intent, but not necessarily narrow interests. So keeping that content broad will definitely help you make the most of your opportunity. So one of the other experiments that we did during the course of the last month was a little bit of a cross-channel comparison to look at sort of how posts performed against some other organic social mediums. So we did not boost any of these pieces of content. We just posted them organically and then watched what happened. The same piece of content in all of those channels. And what we found was not necessarily a huge surprise, but that posts delivered by far the largest organic visibility, but a sort of a lower level of natural amplification from users, which makes sense sort of because users in Facebook and Twitter are there specifically to consume content. Searchers in Google are probably looking for answers and to consume content, but with a little bit less of a specific sort of goal orientation. So posts can be shared by users, but that is not a metric that is actually reported back on. So what we saw was really great visibility, but and some good traffic too. That also delivered a really not only a high level of new users, so the ability to draw new audience to the website, which I think is a tremendous opportunity and value for DMOs, but also a better level of engagement overall after the click from a pages per visit perspective. So some really interesting opportunities. I think it's maybe not absolutely apples to apples to compare something like this with something like Facebook, because they are such different audiences, but helpful to understand how I think posts fit in relation to some of the other channels that you're already actively engaged on. There is an opportunity to draw a lot of new audience and a lot of audience that will stick around to read some more content if you're providing them with some good relational sorts of things. One thing we did also see with that was, again, very strong post-click engagement. So the average time on page for traffic coming in from that post was over 3 minutes, which was also higher than average for the other channels in comparison. So, very similar to organic, we do see a good engagement from users. We tried the same experiment in Sonoma County, and with a different piece of content and a slightly different format to that, and also found similar but not necessarily identical results. Facebook actually delivered a larger organic audience there than Post did, but again, search demand can also have a pretty big impact on visibility overall. So you will not see necessarily the same volume as your neighbor or another market in state or your comp set even, because obviously search volume does vary quite a bit for some of those sort of general destination keywords. Again, though, we did see incredibly strong post-click engagement from that audience. So almost 80% new users, which was about 13% higher than average among all the other channels we looked at. About almost 15% greater pages per session from that audience. An average session of almost 4 minutes, which was 73% longer than the average channel, and a lower bounce rate than the other channels. So while you won't necessarily get a CTR of 10% off of this, there is a really great audience that's being delivered through the product. So we absolutely see an opportunity ongoing for destinations to make this sort of part of their mix. and share some really inspiring content with their audience. The content that you're sending posts, that you're sending audience through to, does make a huge difference. The same as audience coming in from Facebook or from a banner ad or any other sort of audience attractor. Where they are landing is a huge deal. So this was one piece of content that led to some information about outdoor theaters and plays for the summer season, and we saw 100% new users come in off of that, which was kind of mind-boggling, and really strong engagement with a really low bounce rate. So the audience that you're pulling in here is definitely going to support your engagement metric goals if those exist, and is really going to be eager to understand more about the destination and to consume a lot of that content that you're creating. So a couple of other tips: definitely space out posts. Give some of that content a chance to hit the audience before you start to add more content. We think about 3 to 4 days in the lead position is a really good period of time. Post early in the week if you're promoting something the following weekend. That's especially true for the drive markets. If you're a place that is taking in a high volume of weekend visitors from feeder markets within 2 or 3 hours, in a couple of places we saw the highest levels of visibility taking place Sunday through Tuesday. I think we all went in assuming that maybe Friday, Saturday, or Thursday through Saturday were going to be our major times, and that was absolutely not the case. So that was not necessarily true across the board. Obviously, every destination has different audience behavior, but from a surprising number of the markets that we tested in, we did see that same sort of pattern of consumption. Another thing, seasonally relevant content definitely attracted higher engagement than evergreen stuff. That's not to say that there's no place for evergreen, but try to give it a timely or a seasonal spin in the text, so that people really feel that it's something that is current and of the moment. Posts are live for 7 days by default, and you can extend that to 14 days through the scheduling tab. So you don't have a huge lifespan on this stuff. You want to make the most of the opportunity that you have. From what we've seen, about 85 characters will display on a post before it truncates. That's in that preliminary sort of SERP view, but users can click through. So don't be afraid to use more text than will display, but certainly be clear about the subject matter in that first line or two, so that users can decide whether or not they're going to engage. You want to definitely hook them early. And definitely be using strong calls to action for those hypertext links. We saw a better overall click-through rate with very clear and concise CTAs than just from using anchor text sort of within a post. So definitely recommend using really clear and focused calls to action that will drive the click. You can also format text within that WYSIWYG content editor. So, you might want to also play around with bolding or italicizing those calls to action to draw a little bit more attention to them within the display. So that's just kind of a quick preliminary view of what we were able to learn over the month, and look forward to more questions and hearing about some of the experiences these other DMOs have been having. Okay, thanks a lot, Patrick. We've got a huge number of questions, so let's dive into some of them. Kelly is asking, Aditya, is there any cost either to set up or use posts?
Nope, post is completely free.
And then Buzzy is asking, can you boost or promote your post, a la Facebook?
Nope, there's no advertising component to it. Everything is completely free.
Okay. Then we've got a couple of questions regarding the types of destinations that can have post accounts. So can states, provinces, or even nations have post accounts?
Yep, as long as that area has a knowledge panel and you are the official destination marketing organization for that area, you can have a post account.
Okay, and Beth is asking specifically, she looks after a county, so could a county claim cities within their county and combine them under one account?
Every knowledge panel will have its own independent account. So if the county has a knowledge panel, you can have one account for the county. But then if every city also has this knowledge panel, it would be separate accounts for every individual city.
Okay. Okay, a couple of other questions then. Lindsay's asking, where do these posts appear on mobile?
So the knowledge panel will appear somewhere within the mobile search results, usually about halfway down the page, and posts will always appear within the knowledge panel on search.
And I do know that mobile's a huge area of focus for Google, and indeed everybody who's sat in on these webinars will know the sort of usage and engagement around mobile. So that's obviously a critical area of distribution. So we've got another question here. Larissa's asking, Aditya, can you schedule posts?
Yes, you can. You can schedule up to 14 days in advance. And by default, all posts will live on search for 7 days, but you can change it to have the time on search to be up to 14 days before they expire.
Very good. So Richard was asking, will only one DMO per destination be allowed?
Yes, so per every knowledge panel can only have one account. So whoever is the official destination marketing organization for the area that knowledge panel represents will be the only one who can have access.
But there is the opportunity, isn't there, Aditya, to give co-management access to other official agencies in your destination, is that correct?
Yes, but every destination can only have one account. Within the account, you can go ahead and add as many users as you would like from other agencies or within the same agency.
So we would certainly advocate that, and that's something we've worked alongside destinations to ensure. So, you know, let other official agencies know that you've claimed the account, but discuss with them if they may have a need to post. And obviously, you could either do that through your entity or organization. We've suggested setting up editorial guidelines, content guidelines about the sort of types of content that you're going to permit, but then obviously there could well be other official agencies that will want to post. And you may particularly want to think about posts on Google in the context of crisis communication, for example, and ensuring you're using this channel in conjunction with others, getting out a clear and consistent message. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the other questions. So Aditya, Patrick highlighted that certain words and phrases specific to the destination are currently triggering the knowledge panel and posts. Currently, that's a pretty limited range of search terms. Is there plans to extend that into other search terms such as vacation or travel-related search terms?
I think we're always exploring how we can show the knowledge panel and when and where it makes sense, but I don't have any specifics on that just yet.
Okay. Let's come back to some final questions after we just share some additional resources with you. So, Patrick, if you want to advance the slides. Now, I should clarify that the slide deck and a copy of this webinar and indeed a blog post are all going to be shared out via an email 24 hours after today. So we'll be setting that up. We've also got a special page I'll show you in a moment. So we did want to flag that posts on Google is part of a broader initiative that Google is working on, which allows destinations and their industry partners to basically review, update, and enhance the accuracy and completeness of content. So they've just launched in the last month or two something called the DMO knowledge base. This is part of what's being called by Google the Google DMO Content Partnership Program. And this is a set of free tools and resources to use. So you do need to reach out to the DMO team to access that DMO knowledge base, and we'll be sharing that link in the follow-up resources coming from that. Miles has a set of paid services if you need support in this area, and that can include dealing with some of the issues we've been talking about today in terms of posts on Google. And then you can see that covers everything from sort of auditing and planning to help with content creation, uploading, to running industry education and training programs. Key part of this involves reaching out to industry partners and getting them to actively manage their Google My Business listings, which also has a post feature, by the way. But there's a whole range of sort of new features and functionality that are part of GMB, and also reporting and ongoing support. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to us for additional information. And we've got some contact information right there. Again, we'll share that with you in the follow-up. Just in terms of the other resources we wanted to highlight, and then we'll pop back to a final few questions, and then we'll wrap it up today. So we have set up a special page. So the recording, slides, and other resources that I just referenced are all going to be available right there at that web address. So we'll also make the webinar available in its entirety, as well as Aditya's and Patrick's webinar sections separately. I'll be writing a blog as well, summarising Patrick and the rest of our team's sort of tips and suggestions on best practices. Just a note that we ran last week, the State of the American Travel Technology edition with our good friends at Destination Analysts, and you can watch the webinar and access the research at that web address right there. And again, a whole range of other resources available at our website. So let's just answer a couple of other questions and then we'll wrap it up today. So Aditya, Stefan's asking, do the videos need to be linked to YouTube like Google Plus, or are these native videos that are only live on the Google Post platform?
They do. Right now, when you want to add a video to a post, you must paste in the YouTube link, and the YouTube video will show on search.
Okay. Lindsay is asking a question related to the point that I just made, that posts have been available as part of the Google My Post platform for some time. So do you want to briefly talk about how Google My Business posts are different to this post, if at all?
Sure. So Google Search has two posts products, one which is us, which is posts on Google, and the other which is small business posts. And so if you have a small business or a Google My Business account, you can post within your business's knowledge panel from that account. However, for all other knowledge panels, like cities, those are coming through our account. So if you have a local business, you can use the Google My Business product to post on behalf of your business. If you want to post in an account which is not a local business or a local entity like these cities, you can post through posts on Google there.
Very good. And of course, both Google My Business as well as now Posts on Google have got extensive help sections, tutorials, and additional information. And we'll be sharing that resource with you after today. So a question from Vito4. So Patrick, you may want to comment on this in addition to Aditya. So Vito's asking, what do we know about people that are searching for destinations on Google? Are they likely to be people with little familiarity with a place? People, for example, looking for government information, or are they looking for travel, or is it a combination? Any insights to share there, gentlemen?
I think it's definitely a bit of a combination. It probably varies from destination to destination as well. But we think that the travel content that you guys have is a great addition to the city knowledge panel. So we're really excited to see kind of what kind of content you guys create.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree that it's probably a combination, but there is certainly quite a bit of travel intent there. We frequently see those general destination terms being very high performing organic search keywords for destinations. So, you know, a lot of the DMO sites that my team works on, we see those general destination terms delivering a sizable amount of organic traffic. So there is definitely a lot of travel intent in there, but it's certainly not a travel exclusive audience. And it's hard to say how much they know or how familiar they are. I mean, some folks may just be typing in the destination keyword because they want to sort of start a very high level sort of search. Other people may be doing it because they've been to a DMO site before and they remember it ranking well, and so they are starting with the place name to try to get back there. It's really, I'd say, you know, err on the side of being more general in your assumption, but there is certainly a very valuable travel audience in that vertical.
Yeah, and you know, if Google obviously evolves the depth and range of terms that trigger the knowledge panel and post, obviously that audience will evolve. Aditya, we've got a number of questions, including one here from Lisa about what do they do if someone else has claimed their posts on Google account, and is there any sort of process for trying to define who should take the lead?
So I think for right now, we only allow one account per city. So if someone else is already posting on behalf of your city, they are a city government official. And so it would be, I guess, we would love for you guys to kind of figure out who that person is and then ask them to add you to their account if they like the post.
Very good. Julie's asking, can a specific area of a town or a city, such as a neighborhood or a downtown area, have a post account?
They can, as long as that area has its own knowledge panel.
I'm just looking here to see if we've covered all of the other questions. We talked about expiration, that you can post, you can schedule posts in advance. So I think we've covered a good range of the questions today. Obviously, this is a relatively new platform. There's going to be evolving information and best practices on what works and works best. Please reach out to us for additional information. Certainly, I think the concepts we've covered today and Patrick covered in terms of best practices are going to be critical. So again, you can see on the screen there the follow-up resources, including the recordings today, a link to the blog we'll be posting on best practices, as well as those links to where to apply for a post on Google account are all going to be available right there. I've also posted in the chat box that individual link. So Aditya, thanks very much for joining us today, mate.
Thank you.
And Patrick, thanks for your time.
Great to be here.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us. We look forward to being in touch, and please share your experiences, insights, and information around your use of posts on Google and the sort of impact and influence it has in terms of promoting and highlighting your destination. Have a great rest of your day.